Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Shayla Marie. Today I'll be doing the worst / most disappointing books I read in 2024. Before I get started, if you're new to this channel, please don't hesitate to subscribe below, as well as hit the notification bell. And if you're new, hi, I'm Stephanie and I do love bookish content. But this year was interesting. I have some controversial opinions, especially for super popular books as well as beloved authors from myself that are on this list. So these are not just the worst books, but some of these are the most disappointing books. They're not bad, but I just expected more because of the hype or because of my previous love for other books from the same author, etc. So it's all in this same video. I have 10 books on here. Anyways, don't come for me because some of them are kind of crazy. The first book I want to talk about on here is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is her first non-Shadowhunter world book that I've read. I don't know if this is her first ever. I feel it's her first ever, but this is the first from her from a very long time at least. I did not like this book. I thought it was mediocre at best. I think I gave it like 2 or 3 stars if I had to give it a rating. I wish the premise sounded really good. It's about this man, or these two guys. One is a sword catcher, which essentially means that he catches the sword for the prince. Like, he is essentially the dupe, or like he's essentially the body double, and this man is the body double, and he looks enough like him that they also have a little bit of magic in this world where it's like with trinkets, and so this man can use with the trinkets become to look exactly like the prince, especially if people don't know that he's using a body double or a sword catcher in this case. It also follows a woman. Her name is Lynn. She is one of the few people in the world or in the country that has the ability to still do magic, and she's trying to be a healer. But yeah, I did not like this book, guys. I thought it was mediocre at best. I wish it was good. It was also such a lengthy book too that I don't know, like I even bought 2 versions of this book because I was like, I thought I was gonna love it and I didn't. So, like, I was so disappointed. Like, it was also very politically heavy and I was not expecting that. And as I've been reading more these days, I feel like I've noticed that books that are too politically heavy are not my cup of tea anymore. I don't mind it if it is a subplot, but I felt like everything they did, like every single decision, every single page was about politics, and just not a thing for me anymore. The next one on here is one I did a whole reading vlog on. I will link that above and down below, but it is The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. I really want to love this book. My friend and I actually read it all in one sitting. We read it like in 2-3 hours. I love The Midnight Library, so I had very high expectations for this book. Unfortunately, did not live up to the hype. We did not like the writing style. I didn't love the characters. I just did not relate with this elderly woman, this elderly main character at all. And there was a part in the book where it shifts tone completely. The beginning was all kind of like whimsical, magical realism. There's like, you know, this thing in the water type of like extraterrestrial, very like out there. Then second half, it just becomes like a fast-paced thriller. And I'm just like, what is happening here? So I don't know, I just felt like it was very clunky with the pacing of the book as well as the writing style. So yeah, was not a fan of this book at all. Like, I just felt like Midnight Library was so good, and I felt like this book could have been good, but it wasn't. All right, then this next book is one that is objectively terrible, and that is The Six Olympians by Maria Alarcon. I read this for one of my readathons. This book was so bad. It's written terribly. It's probably one of the worst written books I have read in a very, very long time. It looks like a Wattpad, but like not even a Wattpad level. It's like a book that hasn't been edited in a very long time, or ever actually, and the writing is just terrible. It looks like it feels like it was written by someone who is like 12 years old and did not know how to write well, did not know how to set up characters, was just like very all over the place. I did not love it. I went into it expecting a lot because I love Greek mythology. I love learning about or reading about all the Greek Olympians, like the mythology and all that stuff, but this one was not it. I actually really hate this. Was probably like 1 star or half a star, like objectively speaking. It was so bad. This next one is one that I got from LA, and people were hyping it up so much that I expected a lot from it, but I don't know, I just felt like it just fell flat with the emotions. And that is All the Fighting Parts by Hannah V. Sawyer. It's not that this book is bad per se, but I just felt like there's other books that are similar that are written better, and I've read those books before and I loved them. But this one, I don't know, it's because I just like didn't care for the characters. I just felt this disconnect. I also listen to audio, which normally helps me because I can't really read like poetry that great when it comes to it physically, but when it comes to audioly, like, it's fine. I have no issues with it. But yeah, I did not like this one. I felt so disappointed. I felt like there was supposed to be so much like emotions and turmoil, and I just did not get that feeling from reading this book, which is what I was expecting based on everything that I read and all the hype that I heard regarding this book. Oh my god, this next one is one that's probably getting a lot of hate on me, and that is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I even got the special edition. I think this is the Illumicrate or the Fairy Loot Illumicrate edition. It's stunning. I love the edges and like the front, but I did not love this book, guys. I thought it was very mediocre, unfortunately. I'm trying to remember what this book is about, honestly, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's about that girl who like does some sort of magic, and I want to say it's also set in like a Spanish-esque type of world. I don't know, I just did not like this book, guys. I thought it was poorly written. Didn't care for the characters. I didn't care for the magic. I just expected so much from her because I love her other books. But this one was like the worst one I've read from Leigh Bardugo, which is very disappointing to say the least. This next one is one that I probably will also be like, what the fuck? And that is The Woman by Kristin Hannah. Okay, this one was one where I read apparently in the beginning of the year and forgot that I read this book because it just had no impact on my mental state. And I went back to it a couple months later and I was like, oh my god, there's a new book from Kristin Hannah, I gotta read it. And I went on Goodreads and I was looking it up to see the synopsis, and I was like, wait, I already read this book, but I, for the life of me, cannot tell you anything I read regarding this book. Like, I read the synopsis and I'm just like, dude, I don't remember anything. And for me, I feel like that says a lot, because even though I read a lot of books, if a book is really good, which usually these authors are, like Kristin Hannah, I remember The Great Alone, I remember The Nightingale, I remember Firefly Land. Like, I remember those books to some degree. I don't remember all the details, I don't remember the characters' names, I don't remember the actual like the specific plot, but I remember like the general information. This book, I don't know what the fuck happened there. I read it, listened to it on audio, forgot about it, and I didn't even know I read it until like months later when I looked it up. So that is why it's on here as one of the most disappointing books, because I just expected her books to have a greater impact on me because of her previous books. This is another one that will probably get a lot of what the fuck, and that is The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I had so much expectation going into this book. I've heard amazing things about it. Everyone was hyping it up for me. And then I read it this year and I was just like, is this really what the hype is about? Because I didn't love the characters like at all. I actually thought the characters were terrible. Like, terrible people. I don't think they were badly written per se, but I just didn't like any of them. The plot was also really slow, and yeah, I don't know, I did not care for this book. Like, I talked to my friend who also read it and she was just like on the same page as me. I don't understand what the hype is about. I don't get it. It's just not a good book, honestly. The next one on here is The Storm of Echoes, which is book 4 in the Mirror Visitor. This is not a bad book per se, but this is the final book in the Quartet series. I adored the first 2 books. I loved the characters. I was like on brand. I was so on point with the plot. I loved all the magic in there. Then 3rd book came along and I was like, it's okay. Then this 4th book was just most disappointing because I felt like the way how it ended, I didn't care for it. And it was supposed to be like I expected so much from it because I love the beginning of the series and how it started. I just felt like the execution and like the way how it was done, the finale was just did not live up to how great the first 2 books were, in my opinion. So I didn't love it, but yeah, probably a disappointing book for sure. Next one on here is one that I read for book club, and that is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I will not continue the series, that's all I can say. I didn't love it. I read it and I was like, what am I reading? I think it's also because it's very politically heavy and I wasn't really expecting that. I also felt like I love the beginning, like how it was built up, like where he was from, when he underwent that surgery to go through all of that, like all those changes, like that part was done excellent. Then it got to the part where it was the trial or the game or whatever it was. That's where it lost me. I just felt like they were using way too many names. I was getting so confused because he will have a name for this person, someone else will have a name for the same exact person, there's a third name for the person, and I'm just like, bro, like, why are there so many different names? Like, I'm getting so confused. And there was no like glossary or anything like that to distinguish like, okay, who is who. And it wasn't like I was reading it audibly either, because sometimes when I read it audibly I do get a little mixed up because of, you know, just listening to it. I read it physically and I had that same problem, and I was talking to my book club people and they also agreed that it was just a little bit confusing at times. So yeah, I was expecting so much from the series because I've heard nothing but praise, especially for the first trilogy. The second half of the trilogy, I heard that it was like mixed reviews, but the first 3 books I heard were amazing. I don't know, guys, I just did not love it. So yeah, I immediately put these books the rest of the books to be sold because I was like, what is this? Before I forget, I am selling all of my books. I sell them on Pango Books, so if you want to pick them up or check them out, I do sell them down below in the link, so I'll link it down below. Yeah, I go through all my books. I tend to like overhaul my bookshelves pretty frequently as I'm reading these books physically, so there's constantly a ton of books on there that I sell, which is why I still have these books. So I'm trying to sell them. They haven't sold yet, with the exception of one of them just sold like yesterday, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, so if you want to check them out, you know, check them out in the link down below. Anyways, I wanted to love Red Rising. It was so disappointing, guys, that's all I can say. Then the last and final book on here is War Storm. This is book 4 in the Red Queen series, and the reason why it's on here is because honestly the last 2 books should be on here. The first book was so good. I really enjoyed the first book. As soon as I read it, I was like, wow, I want to continue the series. Read book 2, I was kind of like, oh, it's good, like it wasn't amazing. Books 3 and books 4 was such a slog to get through. Like, I didn't care for the characters anymore. I felt like it was so slow and so draggy. The plot was like all over the place for me. I felt like the pacing was off. I just did not love the last 2 books, especially the last book, like the way how it ended. I was just like, what is this? And plus there were also such chunkers too that I'm like, it really could have cut down like 150 pages easily. There didn't need to be all that fluff, but there was, and so it just took me forever to get through it. So yeah, another book for the pages that unfortunately I did not love. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the books this time were really popular books, or books that by authors I usually adored, but unfortunately just did not live up to my hype this year. I don't know, guys, I was very disappointed in the books that I was very disappointed by this year. Like, the highs were high and the lows were low, that's all I can say. But yeah, that's to say for this video. Let me know down below if you agree with any of these thoughts based on these books. What were some of your worst books that you read for this year, or some of your most disappointing? But as always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. I would like to subscribe to my channel, and if you see more content of me, please don't hesitate to subscribe down below, as well as hit the notification bell. And as always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.